Motherhood Incorporated proudly presents Military Mom Talk Radio live on Toginet.com. Co-hosted by Robin Boyd and Sandra Beck, the owner of Motherhood Incorporated. Military Mom Talk Radio is here with a powerful platform for women to discuss their ideas, issues, and concerns with respect to the military lifestyle. Military Mom Talk Radio encourages you to share your experiences of being a military wife and mother. This show is dedicated to educating your family about the many resources that are available in both the public and private sector, and we'll be sharing helpful information from women all over the world. We'll cover everything military, from helping a family member cope with post-traumatic stress disorder, to navigating government programs dealing with family issues, to the struggles of deployment, along with being a working mother both in and out of the home. This is Military Mom Talk Radio, and here are your hosts, Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd.
Hey, military moms, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Robin Boyd, and as promised, we've got another great show today for you guys. Robin, it's so much fun. I missed the last two shows. I'm so glad to be back.
I'm glad to have you back. We missed you, but we did have a couple of great shows, and we're glad that you're back here. So anyway, yeah.
Well, while I was gone, Rob, I started. I was doing some things for the military, which is why I was gone. And I was reading an article about the commission, and this happened in January, end of January, so just about a month ago. There's a commission, a congressional commission, that's recommending a complete overhaul of the military health system, one that does away with TRICARE. And, they're trying to improve and preserve the quality of combat care and, improve access to health treatment for those who use the system. Well, if you're like me and Obamacare has raised your rates and lowered your coverage and increased your deductible, I've had to seek alternative health care measures for me and my kids because of some of these changes. So when I saw that, there's a commission, calling for abolishing TRICARE, and then I look at family members and retirees under 65 and, family members that then would go to healthcare coverage through commercial insurers, similar to the plans run under the Federal Employment Health Benefits Program. I started to get, my temperature went up, kind of thing. And then I thought, well, it's a good thing that we're having, somebody like Carrie Vitt on, who talks a lot about and very openly about healing herself through nutrition. And I know we've done a lot of nutrition shows over the past, but when I will tell you, when your healthcare benefits change and you can't run to the doctor for this and that, you really start looking at nutrition differently. You look at wellness differently. I gained 35 pounds with my second pregnancy, and I didn't take it off, and I went to the doctor, and he's like, okay, you need to lose this weight. And then he's like, if not, we're going to put you on this medication. The medication was like $300 a month. I'm like, oh no, we're getting that weight off.
Isn't it true? And I think what's so difficult in my rant, so to speak, is that so many times insurance companies, once you're in a system, will dictate the level of your care because you have to go through the medications that are in their formulary, and you have to go the process, not necessarily the medication that your physician, your educated, knowledgeable, experienced, and tried and true physician knows what's good for you. And that's sort of my beef, if you will, is that because the insurance companies mandate what your formulary and your protocol has to be, you have to then go through all of these medications or procedures that are sort of the low step up to the next step in order to get the results that you need. And to me, that's sort of my rant with healthcare as it is, because it's not the insurance company that knows your health situation. The insurance company does not know the results of a medication as applied to a particular situation, nor do they know all the contraindications. So why should they be dictating what should be covered? So, it gets very, very complicated in this day and age. And you have to go to the pharmacist. You have to go to your doctor. You have to go and do some research. And all of that is scary to think, am I doing the right thing? And I think there again, some of the people who have concerns with the inoculations these days, I think part of their question is it's not so much should my child have the inoculation, it's where is this inoculation coming from, and is it safe? So
I'm going to buzz in there and say it is. Should my child have these? Because I had two premature kids, and because of their prematurity, the doctor sat down with me and said, we're going to stagger these inoculations, vaccinations, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and I said, oh no, you're not. You're going to wait until these kids are to a certain age, and both of my kids didn't have the bulk of their stuff till 24 months. And, I'm sorry, but, you've got compromised health systems. You've got, and then when my kids went to school, they were like pincushions because they're like, in order to enroll in the public school, you have to, do this, this, and this. And I'm like, but the fact of the matter is you don't. You really need to check with your laws and your local system, because they'll tell you need these, but you really don't. And my kids are now 8 and 11, happy and healthy. They've had each of them have had antibiotics only once in their life. And, I'm sorry, but the jury's out on some of this stuff, and pumping your kids full of drugs or the soldiers full of drugs may or may not be in their best interest.
Well, and this is where I think it is good for a parent or a caretaker to have that ability to question it. My thing is, I think so many times now we're wondering, where are these drugs manufactured? I think that's where my hackles come up, because they are coming out of China. They are coming out of sources that may not have, we complain about the FDA, but at least if there's a presence of a certain amount of testing and my brain is not working today. It's been a busy day. They have to go through a certain protocol in order to be approved. And I don't know as though medications that are made elsewhere have that same rigor as the ones that are made in the United States, or at least ones that we have more control over.
Yeah.
But
well, I think
that's my opinion. That's just an opinion, folks. That's just, yes, we should have inoculations when we feel it's in our best interest, but I want to know where they're made.
You want to know where they're made. You want to know how they're made. when my kids got their shots, because I remember the nurse going oh, you're one of those moms. Because I took my phone, my smartphone, because this is only 3 years ago. I took my smartphone and I started taking pictures of the batch numbers. And I'm like, you don't know. And I just said to her, you don't know what you're shooting in, my kid. You're doing the best you can with what information you have. You trust that these things are safe and healthy. And I said, but you know what? Why don't I turn around and stick it in you and see if you don't want to write down the batch number? And then she was like, oh,
how smart of you, though, Sandra, to just take out your phone and take a picture of the batch number. Perfect.
Well, I read Dr. Sherry Tenpenny's stuff about, she's very anti-inoculation and anti-vaccination, for some very, very good reasons, especially if you have kids with, health issues, compromise issues. It just makes sense. How much, you're not going to take a baby and put Diet Coke in his baby bottle because you don't want him to have sugar. You don't want him to have the dyes and the coloring and the artificial flavorings. So, and you don't give him Doritos as his first snack. It just goes to the reason that we might want to be careful what we put in our infants. And I'm not saying that people's best interests aren't in mind, but if your best interest is, $14 billion in, pharmaceutical sales last year, we just might want to have some checks and balances with this stuff. So Dr. Sherry Tenpenny has given us lots of great information with respect to these things. And you can look her up. It's Tenpenny, Tenpenny. And then my thing is make your own decision. You know what I mean? It's like when
Yeah.
I look at my kids now, because, they said, Mom, you're a little wacky with this stuff. And, like with especially when, they wanted to shoot my kids through with a bunch of things just to start elementary school. My thing was, I want to be able to say to my kids, if they're 25 and infertile because of something I authorized, I want them to say, look, I did the best research I could. I made the best decision with the information at the time. I'm sorry, your testicles are blue because we jumped up with something. But the fact of the matter is we don't know.
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
So when I look at, can we affect our health naturally? Can we affect, because the other thing, Rob, and then I'll shut up because I think we only got 2 minutes left. But here's the thing. Most people will take a drug. And then they will not acknowledge the drugs that are naturally occurring in our foods, the hormones, the additives, the actual just chemical composition. You look at the number of chemical compositions in a simple apple. So when you look at chemotherapy or you look at drug therapy, everybody goes, oh, we need to have a drug. And people don't generally think about all the crap, all the garbage, all the food, all the drugs that they put in their bodies every day when they eat. Chemotherapy is a chemical therapy that, a lot of times you ingest it or they put it right into your blood. But what can we do for our bodies naturally, organically, simply that can help our bodies heal themselves? Yeah, they might not be able to completely eradicate certain medications, but the fact of the matter is everything you put in your mouth has some sort of drug in it. So there you go. Are you there, Rob? Did we lose you? I don't know if anybody can hear me. That was my rant. Okay. All right, so let me take us to commercial break. My name is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Robin Boyd, or at least I was here with Robin Boyd. We're having some connection problems. It's probably the weather. We're going to come back from break, and we're going to visit with Carrie Vitt. She wrote a cookbook called Deliciously Organic, and is the reason for my rant for today's show about what can we do to help our health. Carrie was very sick. She changed her diet. She changed her family's diet. As a result, a lot of these conditions cleared up. And so, with the proposed changes in healthcare for our military family, I really encourage you to tune in, listen to today's show, make some of these changes, and put yourself on a road to better health.
Are you a military mom looking for help in dealing with the system? Keeping the home fires burning? Well, that's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd. And we'll be right back after these.
If you're ready for a big change in your work, your career, your happiness, your life, it's time for the $1 Million Mindset with Marla Tabaka. Monday afternoons at 2, 1 Central on Toginet.com. Marla believes that with the right mindset, anything is possible. Join us as successful life coach Marla Tabaka inspires you and her clients to explore, discover, and live your dreams by developing what she calls the $1 Million Mindset. Marla will inspire you to take action on your dreams and reveal secrets to success that will help you realize your own unique power. Tune into the $1 Million Mindset for heartwarming stories with Marla Tabaka. Learn tips and tricks to building a successful business and unlock the secrets to creating a happier, more balanced life through abundant thinking and attraction power. For more information on the $1 Million Mindset, go to our website, marlatabaka.com. That's MarlaTabaka.com. It's the $1 Million Mindset with Marla Tabaka. Monday afternoons at 2, 1 p.m. Central on Toginet.com.
It's words you never heard.
Have you noticed that no matter how carefully you put the Christmas lights away, they still come out all kringle-crangled and jitterty the next year? Christmas tree lights were invented in 1882 by Thomas Edison, and by 1900, these miniature versions of his electric light bulb were being advertised to the public. In 1895, Grover Cleveland proudly sponsored the first electrically lit Christmas tree in the White House, featuring more than 100 multicolored lights. By the next Christmas, members of high society were hosting flambustious Christmas tree parties. Of course, in those early days, the services of a wireman had to be obtained, as many people had considered electricity as a bit of a bugaboo.
It's words you never heard.
To all our armed forces, men and women serving at home and abroad, have a wonderful holiday.
We'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and a statue of liberty started shaking.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on Toginet.com. Covering topics to help on the home front with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sale at the BX. Now let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd.
Hey, ladies, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Robin Boyd. At least I think I am. Rob, are you back?
I am back. All of a sudden, the line just got lost. So, yep,
Isn't
here
that
I
great? You got to love live radio.
am. We've had an awful lot of wind. I don't know. Maybe it was my connection. I don't know if it was something at the station. But we've got a ton of wind today. We've had our share of snow. We've had it this winter. We've just had it.
It is. You guys have been hammered. And, that's one of the things, when we had, what was her name? Lauren Zimmerman up in Alaska, and she was talking about asparagus for $6 a pound. When you're looking at trying to cook organically, when we're looking at trying to do these things for our health, you can, you can only do so much with what you have.
It's true. It's true. And I think what's hard, too, and there again, that's what's wonderful as far as having the ability to order things, say, from Amazon, or to be able to be functioning with what might be at the base or whatnot. At least you have some staples that you can always fall back on. There are some, just even in New England, there are many times that we'll make sure that we've got cans of soup, or we've got the rice, or we've got all of those backup kind of things that at least are pantry safe. We can leave them on the pantry shelf. Then if you get snowed in or you lose your power, at least you can be heating things up on a camp stove. I can't tell you how many times I've cooked meal after meal on a camp stove because we haven't had power for 3 days. But yeah, that you do learn to manage on a shoestring or with whatever you've got in the house. And it's hard to eat more healthy. It really is.
Well, I think we've gotten really lazy as a society, honestly. I look at, like the meals that come into my kids' schools, they're all blister packed in plastic, and then they quickly heat them. They've gone from having a full cafeteria, full of employees, to just, these boxes that come in and are delivered. And I don't know where this stuff is prepared, and I don't know how this stuff is prepared. When I was little, we went in and we had like the peas and carrots put on our plate. We had we had these things put into our diet. You could see it. You could go see the spaghetti and meatballs. You could look back and see the steam from the pasta cooking. We've changed so much as a society, nutrition-wise, and I can't imagine, depending on the base, what's available to you.
Right. And there again, sometimes it is just a convenience, but if it takes just a little more effort to do the prep work, and then, even have to say, I love my bread machine. Does it take a little more effort to make sure that I've got that loaf of bread for the next day? Yeah, but at least I know my ingredients, and if you have any sensitivity to ingredients at all in your diet, you do have to sort of build that into your weekly routine. You're going to have to make those extra couple of loaves of bread, or you're going to have to make the soup from scratch because you can't have the sodium or whatever. You have to build that time in, but it's worth it because then you're healthier. You're not taking a sick day. You're not having a day that you've got another flare up if you have things like a gluten-free sensitivity. So, yeah, it's definitely worth it.
It is. Well, and what I've found is I've changed to really simple recipes and really simple meals so that we can just not break the bank and not waste, but it's like I don't have the time to make bread. I really don't.
Right.
There's a limit on what I can do. But what I can do is at least have a fighting chance, especially if I've got health issues, we can, really affect some change.
Yeah. And there again, I think we all have to make that that balance. You can't make the bread because you don't have the time, so it may be worth it for you to spend a little extra money on a better loaf of bread because your time spent would have cost more than the $4 for the loaf of bread that you just spent that's a homemade bread. So I guess we all have to kind of value our own time and be able to say, I still need these ingredients to be what I need, but yet I have to decide which is better for my budget, time or the pocketbook.
Right.
So.
Well, and that's one of the things that, Carrie Vitt had found, with her story of recovery. And, she's got a really pretty cookbook out, the Grain-Free Family Table. And you know how funny I get with cookbooks. They have to be pretty for me to like them.
Yes.
I just think your cooking is sensual. It's visual. It's lovely. And, she put a lot of time and effort into putting this cookbook together. So I'd like to welcome to the show Carrie Vitt. She's the author of The Grain-Free Family Table. Carrie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's so good to talk to you again. You were on one of my other shows. I thought you were delightful. I think your product is outstanding. And you've got a great recovery story, Carrie. We were talking early on about, my kids had compromised health issues, so we chose not to do certain vaccinations and how we've worked really hard with nutritionists and different food things to help our bodies stay healthy. And now you have an actual living proof recovery story. I'd love for you to share us with that story.
Yeah, sure. Well, it kind of began about 10 years ago, and I'll give you kind of the short story on that part. But about 10 years ago, after the birth of my second daughter, I started having chronic migraines and went to all the doctors and was on 3 different medications, daily medications, and was still getting 3 to 4 times a week. And through a course of events, discovered that it was from the pesticides and the herbicides and the stuff that was in my food. And as soon as I switched to organic, my migraines just completely disappeared. And I was able to get off of my medications, which was just mind-boggling to me at the time. And so I started realizing, okay, there's something to eating, organic foods and stuff like that. So I started kind of going down that path. And I had been struggling also with eczema and IBS, and my daughter had asthma. And as we started walking down this road and eating healthier and healthier, my IBS and my eczema cleared up. My daughter's asthma cleared up. And it was pretty incredible. So I just kept going. I was like, there's something to this. This is the real deal. And then about 5-6 years ago, I went to the dentist and I had an amalgam filling removed. Most people know those as like a silver or a mercury filling, and had it removed. And unfortunately, I didn't realize at the time that you need to go to a dentist who is properly trained, who's biologically trained, and that will take the proper precautions so that you're not affected by the stuff that they're drilling out of your mouth. And I didn't know that. And this doctor didn't take the right precautions. And so I laid there. It was a 3-hour appointment. It was a really, really large filling. And I just breathed all of that, the heavy metals and the mercury and stuff that he was drilling out of my mouth. And the second I sat up from the chair, I was sick. Like, I knew something was wrong. I felt horrible. My husband drove me home, and I was in bed for an entire week. I had no energy, and my husband and I both, I remember us talking and going, gosh, that's weird. Why would a filling like affect me like this? That's so odd. But I didn't know anything about amalgam fillings, so I didn't think to put the two and two together. And then after a few weeks, my skin started breaking out really bad, and then it turned into chronic hives. I had 24/7 hives from my neck up, and not to get too ick, but it was just, my skin was red and swollen, and all of it peeled off twice a day. And it felt like someone was holding a frying pan to my face. Like, it was so painful. And I started becoming depressed. My hair started falling out. I had no energy. I had to drop all, extracurricular commitments and stop seeing friends because I was just in so much pain. And I laid around at home with ice packs on my face. And the worst part of this was that I couldn't get a doctor to listen to me. I kept going in doctor after doctor for 9 months, and they just kept saying, you have dry skin, here's some steroid cream, and go home. And I got so incredibly frustrated. I was so upset because no one would listen. I mean, I couldn't get anyone to just order like a simple blood test. And after 9 months,
Carrie, on the other side of the break, we're going to continue your story. We've got a commercial break coming up, and this is so parallel to a friend of mine who was gluten intolerant and went through the very same thing that you're expressing. Was the fact that they kept saying, "Oh, you just have, you must have a food allergy, or you must have this," and just sent them home with a Pepto-Bismol kind of a thing. And just kept saying, oh, well, that must not have agreed with you. And you know darn well in your heart something is not right. You know darn well that you need to find out what's wrong because you have to listen to your body. And I'm so glad that you took those extra steps to keep pursuing it and saying, no, something isn't right. This isn't good. We need to go further, and we need to find out what's wrong. Yeah. And I'm interested on the other side of the break to talk a little bit more, not only about your situation, but also undertaking the huge research that must have gone into putting your cookbook together because you have such a wonderful resource. We're talking today with Carrie Vitt. She's the author of the Grain-Free Family Table Cookbook, and we will talk more with her on the other side of the break here on Military Mom Talk Radio.
Are you a military mom looking for help in dealing with the system? Keeping the home fires burning? Well, that's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd. And we'll be right back after these.
Spark Your Soul Radio with Ann Phyllis. Perspectives with purpose. Insights with heart. The Woohoo Radio Network show for spiritual seekers and fire starters who are ready to stop feeling lost, alone, confused, or blocked and start tuning into your soul speak so you can ignite all areas of your world, from your work to your relationships, lifestyle to legacy. Host Ann Phyllis is a spiritual analyst, fire starter, energy alchemist, and soul truth clairvoyant. Using the heart and purpose-based principles of her signature Soul Sense system, Anne offers weekly wisdom for tuning in, letting go, unlocking, and unblocking. If you've been walking through life with excess baggage, a heavy heart, a feeling of disconnection from your inner life, consider Anne your guide to spark your soul journey and reignite your relationships, life, purpose, work, and spiritual consciousness. Every week on Spark Your Soul Radio, Anne takes you on a journey into the heart of your soul sense. There, she helps translate your energy, essence, and soul truth knowing into positive action and change. From this space of personal awakening and transformation, you're able to reignite your spirit, spark your soul, and live in alignment with your vision and values. Ready to spark your soul?
It's words you never heard.
There are more cats in U.S. households than any other pet. Most allurophiles or cat owners know that unlike dogs, taking Kitty for a ride in the car isn't any fun. I mean, you never see a cat hanging its head out the window, enjoying the breeze. Today's domestic cat is descended from a small Mideastern wildcat. A group of kittens is called a kindle, and a group of adult cats is a clouder. What's the word for those dust balls composed entirely of cat hair? Fluffernuggins. Personally, I like pigs better than either cats or dogs. Dogs are subservient and look up to man. Cats are aloof and look down on man. A pig, however, will look you in the eye and see as equal.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and Words You Never Heard has been brought to you by the Bariatric Surgery Center of Dallas.
'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on Toginet.com. Covering topics to help on the home front with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sale at the BX. Now let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd.
Hey, military moms, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Robin Boyd, and oh my goodness, we just got all sorts of noises going on today. We've got snowstorms, we've got rainstorms, we need some barking dogs. That would just make my day. I love when the dogs bark on the show. We're here today visiting with Carrie Vitt, and she's written this great cookbook called, Deliciously Organic. Oh, I'm sorry. Deliciously Organic is not the title. It is The Grain-Free Family Table. That was your first cookbook. I'm sorry. You're such a prolific writer. We need to buy all your cookbooks. Buy all her cookbooks to make up for my gaffe. So before the break, you were talking a little bit about how sick you were and the difficulties that you had with the traditional medical industry, which is true. I mean, when you look at Carrie, you've got kids, I've got kids, Rob's got kids. When you go in and you take your kid in, for like an ear infection, they get like a minute and a half, you know what I mean, to diagnose, to do all this stuff. I mean, it's not always the medical professional's fault, but the fact of the matter is we've got to take control of our own health. That's what I've said since we started this show 5 years ago. You're right in alignment with that. Talk to us a little bit about how you took your own health into alignment and took responsibility for it. And you rockin' put your photo up there, 2008, looking like road pizza, roadkill.
Pretty
and
much.
then 2014, you look gorgeous. I mean, you're a beautiful woman anyway, but, the other one, you could just see the inflammation. You could see, and you were miserable when you took that picture.
Can you tell? Yeah, I was pretty mad at that point. Yeah, well, when I finally, found a doctor to run some tests, and I was diagnosed with a thyroid disease. It's called Hashimoto's. And so the doctor, I said, okay, well, what's the treatment? And I was kind of already coming from that mindset of food can heal, we can do this, I could overcome this. And so that's kind of what I was asking him. And he said, well, there's one pill you could take, but, it's not really going to, basically your thyroid's going to destroy itself and you're going to be on meds the rest of your life. And I knew that wasn't the road I wanted to go down. And so I said, no, thanks. And I actually told him in the office, I told him I was going to reverse the disease. And I just walked out and I thought, well, golly, I have reversed, chronic migraines and IBS and eczema. Surely I can reverse Hashimoto's. And so, thankfully, one of my best friends who I had been talking on the phone with every day, she was so sweet and would always call in and check up on me and listen to me just sob on the phone. And her sister is an incredible nutritionist out in California. And she said, I called my sister, you're going to start working with her. And so Kim Schutte, who is my nutritionist, just literally fell in my lap. It was such a blessing. And so I started working with Kim, and my nutritionist helped me understand that I needed to cut out all grains out of my diet and gluten, because when you have a thyroid disease, like even just the smallest amount of gluten and grains can irritate the thyroid. That's the word. And make it not perform at its optimum level. So I dropped that, and I basically just did everything that she told me to do. I've done a ton of detox. I do castor oil packs and saunas, and, my diet, I've eaten as clean of a diet as I possibly could, and just decided, I was going to do this myself. And it took a while. Through all the testing, we did discover I had heavy metal poisoning from that amalgam filling. So I had gobs of inflammation because I had been exposed to so many heavy metals. So it took many years, but I was able to reverse the disease, and I never took any medications. And that was just something in my gut that I just felt like that was the right move for me. And I'm so glad I did, because I got my health back, and my thyroid works now, which is just incredible. And that's not something that most doctors are going to tell you. But, I'm not the only one. Like, I've been reading about so many other people that are doing the same thing. And it's truly incredible that you can take your health into your own hands,
This is this very same thing as my friend who has celiac, and that, as I said before the break, and she just finally turned it around, discovered the things. And I think did you go through a lot of trial and error? Because she had to do that, and she had to really isolate exactly what irritated and what she could tolerate, and then went through a huge course of trial and error on every recipe under the book to try to convert to something that's palatable.
Yeah. And going grain-free, and this was years ago, and at that point, there weren't paleo cookbooks out. There weren't grain-free cookbooks out. And so, there were no resources. And so, I actually, seriously, I cried one night because I thought I would never eat a cinnamon roll, because I was just like, you can't put almond flour and coconut flour together and make a cinnamon roll that's going to taste good. And so that was kind of that drove me, and I would test and test and test these recipes over and over and over, and until it tasted just like the foods that I grew up on. My mom has this huge catering company out in Dallas. And so I grew up in a family where, food was, the bomb. You know what I mean? We know how to cook. And so I really wanted to make a cake, or make cupcakes, or make muffins, or cinnamon rolls, right? That tasted just like what I grew up on. And that's why I wrote the book, because I thought, I know there are 20 million people in America right now that have been diagnosed with thyroid disease. And then, there's 60 million that have autoimmune disease. And, you can take your health back in your own hands. And a lot of it can just be done with food. And so I wanted to give people the resources and, those recipes that you don't feel like you're missing out on something,
And I think we're lucky that a lot of ingredients are more readily available. Even in my local Walmart, I can buy a lot of the flours that my friend with celiac has. And I got to tell you, she makes a mean lasagna. She can make lasagna, the pasta, out of a wheat-free. There are no wheat flour used, and it was amazing. So yeah, it's just that trial and error.
Oh, exactly.
Well, and it's also, the availability of things. We've got some issues with the military family and what we can find and not find. And you know me, Rob, you know what I'm going to plug, because I just, I live remotely. I live far away from the grocery store. It's 35 minutes. And with, gas creeping up again, when I go to Amazon.com, and I'm part of that, Amazon Prime, where I get free shipping, I can order this stuff and get it delivered to my door faster and cheaper than I can if I were to drive and try to find it. So most everybody who's a military family at this point knows the benefit of Amazon Prime. But if you're in remote locations, and because some of the recipes, I haven't seen, Carrie, I haven't seen your cookbook. I haven't looked at each recipe to see if everything's easily located. But when you go down to Amazon Prime, you can find an awful lot of really good alternatives to some of the stuff we've been eating.
Yeah, definitely. I use Amazon Prime all the time. And in fact, I made the ingredients in my recipes easy to find, as far as like you can find them on Amazon, or the rest would be like produce and things like that you can easily find in the grocery stores. I also discovered a new company. I think they just started up maybe 6 months ago, and they're out of LA, and it's called Thrive Market. And their stuff, it's kind of like Costco, but like think of Costco and Whole Foods together, right? But it's online. And so you can get like all of these amazing ingredients at wholesale prices and then have it shipped to your door. And I've been using them lately for stuff that I can't find on Amazon. And that has been huge. Like, I'm so in love with that place. I don't work for them. I just really like them.
Well, and I will tell you, like when I go home to Buffalo, Carrie, or I travel for work, and I try to find things that aren't readily available in Los Angeles. And Rob, we've had this conversation where I'm like, and I go to the farmer's market, I buy all this produce, I make my own spaghetti sauce, and and I make a ton of it at once. You know what I mean? Or when I make pickles or different pickled things, I do that in season, and then I just freeze it in my freezer. But not everybody has the availability that we have here in Southern California for produce, or people who are like Oregon. I could just eat my way through the whole state of Oregon.
I could too. When I'm in Northwest Florida, and I don't live, I think the nearest Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or anything like that it's about 150 miles. So, using those online sources it's just fabulous. I really, really love it.
Yeah, that's going to cost a tank of gas or two to go 150 miles to the grocery store.
Just a little.
But even just from even closer by, there are things that I can get down here that Emily in Vermont can't get. We are 3 hours away from each other, but yet there's certain things that I can get for her. I want to make sure everybody has Carrie's website. It is deliciouslyorganic.net, and we want you to visit because she has recipes. She has a great blog that has so many wonderfully inspiring stories. She has the list for her cookbooks, but she also goes into, and on the other side of the break, let's talk a little bit about even the skincare, for example. And I love the fact, Carrie, that you have a little listing here for pantry staples, because so many of us know that, okay, we've got your basics that are always in the house, but if now you are evolving into a different cuisine, if you will, I guess you could almost call this, you want to make sure that you have those staples on hand. So on the other side of the break, we're definitely going to want to cover those, as well as talk a little bit more about the Grain-Free Family Table. What a wonderful cookbook. This is Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd and our guest, Carrie Vitt, today. We'll be right back.
Are you a military mom looking for help in dealing with the system? Keeping the home fires burning? Well, that's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd. And we'll be right back after these.
Do you want to get a contact high? Tune in for fun, inspiration, and motivation every Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Learn how to maximize your mojo and just say no to the status quo. Get inspired and motivated by a fun-loving coach who knows what it's like to get through this thing called life. With your High on Life coach, Audra Irwin, each Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time and 12 noon Eastern.
Ladies and gentlemen, tune in every Monday night during the debut episode of Paranoia, Texas at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you will get a chance to win some very cool prizes from McDonald's, Walmart, Geek World, Red Petal Salon, and so much more. All you have to do is listen for the cue, and when you hear this music, call in. That's every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and win those cool prizes.
Have you heard? The pages of American Patchwork and Quilting magazine come to life on our new weekly online radio show, American Patchwork and Quilting. Join Pat Sloan, our blogging and quilt designer host, as she talks about the latest trends, ideas, and inspirations. Her guests include quilt pattern designers, authors, quilt shop owners, and our editors, all quilters, just like you. Call in with your questions. Get quilting tips from industry experts. Learn about free patterns. Hear behind-the-scenes stories from our magazines, American Patchwork and Quilting, Quilt Sampler, and Quilts and More. Get the scoop on free stuff and find out more about the best independent quilt shops in North America. To listen to a live show, tune in Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Just log on to allpeoplequilt.com/radio. To hear past shows, go to iTunes and search for American Patchwork and Quilting Radio. We hope you'll join us because we know that quilting changes everything.
We'll put a boot in your ass, it's the American way. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and a Statue of Liberty started shaking.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on Toginet.com. Covering topics to help on the home front with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sale at the BX. Now let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd.
Red, white, and blue.
Hey, Military Moms, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Robin Boyd, and we're visiting with Carrie Vitt today, and she's written a wonderful couple cookbooks, and we're talking about healing ourselves. And I think, a lot of this, changing our diet, I know, Carrie, I went through this 3 years ago, and I hired a nutritionist, and I hired a personal trainer, and, I didn't keep them for years and years and years because it's expensive, and I'm a single mom with 2 kids, but hiring somebody for some information to make these changes can make all the difference in your health, period.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And I think that a lot of times we're hesitant because we only want to do stuff that's covered by our insurance. But unfortunately, a lot of the healthcare that's covered by our insurance is, those medical doctors, and they're great. Like, I'm really glad that medicine is there when I need it, like when I need surgery or I have a broken arm or something like that. But a lot of times when it comes to issues like this, they haven't been trained in nutrition like a nutritionist has or another holistic kind of practitioner. So spending a few $100s is well worth it. So you don't end up running around in circles. Because I have so many people write in and say, I've been, going to all these different places and I'm not getting answers. And I always recommend to, if you can, spend a little money out of pocket and you can get a wealth of information to get you going on the right road.
Well, absolutely. And one of the things about that is when you look at the deductibles or you look at the, co-payments and you look at, this adding up, to be able to transform your family. I look at, the medical costs before and after this transition, and my kids are healthier. They get sick less. I get sick less. I recover faster, and all these different things have an effect on your bottom line. So even though it feels like, I'm spending a couple $100 to talk to somebody, it's well worth it to make these changes. And you don't have to be starving. Like, I loved your cinnamon roll thing. It's like, you don't have to give up everything you love. That I think is mistaken when you change your diet.
Yeah, no, I completely agree that you don't need to deprive yourself. You need to eat well, but then sometimes you can eat a cinnamon roll, right? Or have some cake or some ice cream or something like that. And especially when you make it with nutritious ingredients, it's a whole different ball game. You can have a piece and it's not going to make you feel terrible,
Well, and I have a friend who's a chef, a very good friend for 25 years, and he was the executive chef at CBS Studios, and he is, he's world famous for some of his stuff. And he would say to me, like, I would cook for him, and he would say to me, Stan, it takes about 30 days for your palate to change. So, one of the things is I used to eat a lot of salt. And when I started ratcheting back the salt and ratcheting back some of the things that I was eating, There was a couple times where I'm like, this tastes a little bland, or this tastes a little thing. Then all of a sudden, like when I go back now and I eat a sugary thing, or I eat a salty thing, or I eat a prepared thing, it's amazing how different it tastes. The foods that I used to crave and love, like now if I eat, and I'll just be honest, it's like if I go out with the kids to have a hamburger and we go to, one of those popular hamburger joints, a lot of times the three of us will feel sick after.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I used to have a terrible sweet tooth. I had to have sugar after every single meal, and I thought that I would never be able to kick the habit. And honestly, moving over to a grain-free diet was what really helped me a ton. Because when I moved over to that, then I wasn't having the insulin spikes, like the blood sugar spikes throughout the day, because grains do that to you if you're eating them a lot. And now I can't tolerate hardly any sugar, and it's a little bit weird to me still. I mean, if I have something that's really sweet, I can maybe have like I made a pie a few weeks ago, and I had 2 bites, and I was like, I'm good. I couldn't even take anymore, and it's really incredible how you can overcome and you can change the foods that you enjoy, because I don't enjoy the sweets as much anymore. And I never thought that would be possible.
Carrie, we were talking about all of this that we're putting inside our body, but I do want to focus a little on the research that you've done as far as things for the outside of the body, because we tend to slather ourselves with things thinking that it's going to make us beautiful, but it's probably not the best thing to be taking such care on the inside and not the outside.
Yeah, no, it's true. And a lot of I can't remember the percentage, it's really high. It's like 80 or 90% of what you put on your skin can be absorbed into your bloodstream. So, when you're buying makeup or lotion or shampoo or even like contact solution, it's really important to read the ingredients inside there. I learned that sometimes they use mercury in mascara, and sometimes they actually use mercury in contact solution, which who wants to be putting that into their eyes, And yeah. Or food coloring, right? Like your toothpaste.
You can't have a big tuna. We've got enough mercury in tuna, and then just like now I've got a tuna in my eyes. Great.
Right. Exactly. Well, we don't need to have red toothpaste and, all those types of things. And so when I switched over to, eating a, very clean, unprocessed diet, I also then looked at all of my skincare and makeup. And on my site, I have a section called My Favorites, because I had so many people writing in asking, what do I use for all these different things? And so I wanted to put it in one place for everyone. To show people what kind of makeup I like. And you know what? The pure healthy makeups or whatever, they're really good. They're not like what they used to be 20 years ago. Like the eyeliner stays on and it doesn't smudge and it looks nice. And it's really amazing what you can find out there nowadays. You just have to look. So you really need to turn around those boxes and those tubes and things and read what's in the products before you put it on your skin.
Well, when you stop and think of the medications that come in patch form that are transdermal, you're right, that percentage of what goes in through our skin is extremely high. So it's wonderful that you've taken to the next, and this is one of the reasons why I love your website, because you haven't just put together some neat recipes, you have helped us reform. And we need that help, and we need you as our mentor. Tell us one of the things that may have surprised you when you were putting together your cookbooks.
Oh, the one thing that surprised me, I guess how long it takes to make a cookbook, but that's probably not helpful information for you.
That is, but you know what's valuable just in that statement alone? How much research you put in to this book to make it as wonderfully valuable as it is.
Thank you. Yeah, I really wanted to be very careful and make sure that the information I was giving was totally correct. It was like a fear of mine. Like, I don't want to lead someone down the wrong road. And so it was actually very nice of my nutritionist. She actually went through the entire manuscript with me to make sure that I was, because I'm not a practitioner yet. I hope to be one day, but I really wanted to make sure that I had done my homework and I had everything in here that I could give to get someone going on the right path. So even in the headers, the little few sentences below each title for each recipe, I tried to put in different health tips and things. So as you go throughout the book, you're constantly learning the whole way. And sometimes I repeat things because there are certain things like getting enough healthy fats into your diet. That's something that in America, especially, like, we're having to make that switch because now we've learned, like, oops, scientists were wrong, right? And so now a lot of people are going, oh, wait, I can eat fat, I can have cholesterol, like, that's okay. And so I know that's a hard thing for people to make that switch in their minds. So some things I just kept repeating. I mean, not over and over, but just to kind of get that in your mind of, remember, these things are important. So I really tried my hardest to make this a good resource, no matter what kind of health issue that you're dealing with.
Absolutely. It's just a wonderful resource. San, did you have another statement or a comment? I'm sorry. Did I cut you off?
I was so busy looking on Carrie's website, because there's so many good things. Like, it's a really pretty site. There's so many good things on here. And I love that you're a fan of Epsom salt. I think Epsom salts can cure a myriad of like bodily evils. And I always put my kids in the tub with Epsom salts. I take Epsom salts baths. I don't know what it does. I'm sure there's all sorts of smart people out there that can talk about those things, but there is nothing better than when you're feeling low and lousy to get into a nice hot tub full of Epsom salts. And Epsom salt is cheap. It's so cheap, it's not even funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that all the time, and I'll maybe add a little lavender oil to my bath or something like that to help just relax me. But I know that it's a great source of magnesium. And so, like, when you're soaking in the tub, your body will start to absorb the magnesium and the stuff through your skin. And so it's a great source of that, which can help with migraines and all sorts of other different health issues.
Well, yeah, you can buy 20 pounds of it for like $20.
I know. I buy that on Amazon too.
I buy the F-Soak. It's like $29 for like 20 pounds. Comes right to my door, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Carrie, we have to say goodbye for today, but everyone, please visit Carrie at deliciously.organic.net. You're going to want to grab her latest cookbook, The Grain-Free Family Table, and do peruse her website and touch base with her. She has so much wonderful information. Thanks, Carrie, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Do join us next week. We've got Suki Forbes joining us. She wrote The Angel in My Pocket. You won't want to miss it. For Sandra Beck, this is Robin Boyd. Have a great week, everyone.